I'd like to welcome you to the fourth episode of my little series on the Big Bang meets information management, or more specifically, information management meets E2O, meets mobile, meets consumer, meets control. And this particular episode, like most of the Big Bang Theory episodes, has a three-word title, and it's the SharePoint paradox. Specifically talking about both SharePoint 2010 and MOS, or SharePoint 2007. I like this quote from a blog called The Big Men on Content, which basically talks a little bit about why SharePoint has been so fundamental in its impact on the information management industry. And when you think about it, what they did was basically, unlike a lot of solutions, they didn't solve the most difficult problem, they solved the most pervasive problem, and in the process endeared themselves to the IT operations channel within organizations. That doesn't mean that SharePoint is a perfect product, it doesn't mean that it's not a good product, but it is fundamental in its impact on information management and how other vendors within the space react to it. It's very important to Microsoft because, as you can see from this chart, which looks at the profitability of Microsoft by division, SharePoint is a very, very critical product for the future of Microsoft in terms of weaving together what it has in the Windows operating system with server-based tools and with the Office. And SharePoint is kind of the glue that ultimately will hold all that together in an enterprise environment. Our surveys tell us that there's an awful lot going on in terms of implementation of SharePoint within organizations. 47% of the people that we've spoken with are using MOS. Another 14% are in the process of actively implementing MOS. 6% have plans in the next 12 months. And then when you add 2010 on top of that, what you can see is that there's a real rich stew of SharePoint implementations out there that have a very fundamental impact on how organizations are managing information. At the same time, our survey is starting to indicate that SharePoint, as kind of the fair-haired boy of the information management space, is starting to be viewed in a bit more realistic fashion out there right now. People do have challenges when it comes to the implementation associated with SharePoint. Some are struggling with performance or infrastructure issues, although 2010 did an awful lot to address some of those issues relative to previous implementations of MOS. I think the most telling thing in regards to information management is that 33% basically are implementing SharePoint without a roadmap for how it intersects with other information management systems. So, when you look all through the entire set of things that are going on right now, what you have is a very fundamental impact on information management, a fundamental impact on how many of the other vendors are approaching the market. It is not a perfect product. No product is perfect, but it is very fundamental its impact on the content, information, and records management marketplace. If you'd like more information on our Enterprise 2.0 efforts, go to e2ocommunity.com, or our records management efforts can be found on our records management community at ermcommunity.com. As for me, as usual, you can follow me at jmancini77 on Twitter or on my blog at Digital Landfill. I look forward to talking with you again on our next episode of The Big Bang and how it impacts information management.